Hello, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the donuts. I can see everybody sleeping over there, so thank you for attending. Our next speaker is Miloš, so please welcome him.
Yep. Yeah, thank you, guys. So hello and welcome. Oh, so this is a timer, okay. Good. Yeah, I actually love doing those things. First, being one of the first guys to jump into the sharks. One of the first things was Internet of Things when it was hype. Then it was big data. Then like all kinds of hypes out there. And then in next year or 2 years, usually what I do is go to some conference and pop some bubbles. Because like it cannot be that there is such a great new type of distributed database that just solves so much of the humanity problems. So I stole this one somewhere. Originally it was, blockchain is like teenage sex. Everybody is talking about it. Nobody really knows how to do it. Everybody thinks everybody else doing it. So everyone claims they are doing it. Original quote was for the big data. But I believe it totally fits for the blockchain because blockchain is not more than a really special database. So let's dig into things. First we'll start in some unusual place and time, which is around millennia ago, back in old China, and I'll explain why. So, does anybody have any idea what is this? Probably. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Thank you. So exactly that. Before this time, it was like around 10 centuries ago. People used a lot of things to exchange value, all kinds of pearls, all kinds of small objects that you can count, and anything that was perceived valuable. At some point, we started using all kinds of metals, make some coins, and then put some, most likely, emperor's face there. What else? All those guys are usually egomaniacs, so they like their face very much. At some point, one of those emperors, like a few centuries before this, was really not happy how much gold is moving in and out, especially out of kingdom. And they said like, okay, let's stop this nonsense. Now we want to regulate this really strictly. So if you're going out of a particular region, then you are allowed to actually use only iron, no gold. And then just imagine, like 1 pound of gold. It's easy to carry. But then in exchange, you get like 100 kilos of iron. That's not so easy. So people, being reasonable, they started like putting things on paper just to represent those things easily, and some special stamps and so on. And after some time, it took some time. It will take some time for blockchain to take hold. Those paper things became really popular, and after few emperors exchanged, one of those said, "Okay, this seems to be a really practical invention. So now I'm just taking a whole thing. Only me and my stamp is good enough. Everybody else is forbidden." And this is how we got central bank born. So this is actually really big movement in human history, because previously you had something which was really straightforward, like in Africa still today. When you're trying to get married in many countries, you really have to have a lot of cows today. You know, it's not a joke. So here we have some really abstract thing to represent value. Yeah, and we will see how this is. So this is stem for the central banks as we know it. Again, some really stupid but effective way how to keep things straight in a prison. Yeah, so in not only one, in many prison facilities, it was noticed that people cannot trust each other enough, or some people just disappear during the night. So you can trust one person. So what they did, like many years ago, they just started using distributed ledger via paper. So it's not only one place where you put how many cigarettes or this and that was exchanged from the bill to the mark, but actually many people put same input, and then maybe you can says you can cheat one person many times, or you can like maybe make a fool of a lot of people once, but it's pretty unlikely and pretty impossible to make a fool of all the people all the time. So yeah, so this is what blockchain is doing is just setting up in one place a lot of pretty much ordinary mathematical things in terms of cryptographic proofs, database and distributed systems, and implementing exactly these things. So yeah. And one more thing before we move on. So this is actually a map of activity of the real usage of the cryptocurrency worldwide. And what is interesting is that, like it's totally expected to have like Western Europe and North America light up. But what is really interesting, and West is talking about a lot about those, is that Venezuela and Middle East and some other regions which are totally unlikely to be like on par, if even more active than rest of the world, are really taking on this technology. And it's really simple explanation. Why is that? There, people have similar situation like we did 25 years ago, which is government, doing some planning and trying to enforce, like, okay, this is the value of our money, but the people, of course, they know like what's the real value. So the only thing that they can have really good value storage right now, and they can have good access to, apart from US dollars or some other hard currency, which is really easy to stop by government, is actually cryptocurrency. So yeah, usage of Monero and Zcash especially is really big in those regions, and it's not for the like first world problems like we have. Like most of us would just buy a bunch of ICOs and then just hope. I don't do daily trading, but like I don't have to do it because at least we have some kind of stability. Yeah. So also like already introduced me. So yes. If it just a small few words, we are working on quite a few blockchain projects and products with really serious teams from all around the world. And yeah, when I say serious, we'll touch those later. You know, like people who are many years in industry trying to solve some real issues. And we are helping with those. Also, like in G Nation, previously was known in Belgrade as a game credits. So game credits is one cryptocurrency and Mobile Go is another. It's both of those are used in our G Nation ecosystem, and Mobile Go is pretty much by far most successful ICO for the gaming industry so far. So yeah, let's try to define this thing. So like we said, it's database, just specially designed, like block at a time. What else? What other properties? Let's see. Yeah, it's append only and also immutable. Yeah, so this is actually here readable by all parties means only if it's blockchain as most of the people think of, which is like Bitcoin or other, which means like public blockchain. This is not true for the like some other implementations that governments trying to solve, like where you have permission, so not everybody can even see the data. Not controlled by any other party. So also this is also really strong and really important thing to be followed. But again, this is true only for proper public blockchains. Okay. Yeah. Here I put the DLT, and then I later on explain what it is. So DLT stands for distributed ledger technology, and as the Gardner guy is advising is to use this term instead of blockchain, because blockchain is pretty much hyped out. So some of the use cases that we are familiar. One is value transfer, which is like Bitcoin, Monero, even Zcash and other solutions. All of them have a different properties, different privacy guarantees, but main thing is value transfer. Okay, next one is that can be done, and this is not the particular order. Maybe it has some in my head right now, like some value in terms of like how important those use cases are. This may change next month. So this is how I think right now. So identity management, why this is important to be such a high place. Probably you're familiar with cases of Cambridge Analytica data was leaked out of Facebook, and then it influenced a lot Brexit outcome. Then Equifax, company that I collaborated a lot with in the past, and I know what's their tech stuff like. They actually leaked 146 million adult American data, just in the wild. And it's like most sensitive data you can think of. And yeah, just security officer was fired. He was actually a really nice lady, but she was like a musician or something. And yeah, she was fired. Just got some other director seat, and that's it. And if we had much better understanding of how important user data is for everybody, like we would have probably better politicians, better governments, totally different approach when they come to the voters and say, okay, this is important. Really, nobody can shuffle your data around and make money out of it. And also educate people, like if you don't pay for some product like Gmail, you should not be really happy about that. You should always think how those companies actually are making money out of me. So this is why identity management, if it's done properly, and we also done now it's spin-off company out of Game Crates, now it's a separate company. We used one of the well-known blockchain technologies and implemented our own, and it's really successful, and it's being rolled out in proof of concept and MVP projects both in America, Middle East, Asia, and so on. Because governments and big corporations there understand that user data is not asset, it's liability. Because like you don't want to be that lady who had like a Juilliard diploma, and it's like, oh, like you are like a security officer. You don't want to be in her shoes. It's probably brother's shoes, but still, you don't want. Tracking, okay, like tracking, not just diamonds, but tracking things. This is just one example. Main thing is supply chain. So this one is one of the biggest use cases, which is people are talking around, like IBM and Maersk are saving a lot of money, much more efficiency, and so on. The problem with this is, and we'll come to that later. You can track this laptop or some golden bar and put it on blockchain, but actually you cannot put the golden bar on blockchain, of course. So the problem with this is blockchain itself. It's bubbly. It's totally isolated from the rest of the world. So whenever you exit blockchain and touch the real world, you have to be absolutely sure that you can trust those entities that are having right access to the ledger. That that you can actually trust them. So it's a big use case. I cannot say much more. Yeah, this is a big dream of the not just crypto anarchists, but also like I would like to see part of this to come to reality. One of the countries that is probably advancing the most in this direction, having distributed governments, is Estonia. So what they did, they allow their citizens to actually have really good grasp on who, when, and how long have access to their data and why it's used, and and can retract it. So they give a lot of power back to people. I'm not sure like how many other governments. Maybe Iceland. Yeah, they come to mind. They care about their people, but yeah. Okay, probably I should not go too much. Yeah, you probably noticed that I cannot help myself, but like every 2 minutes, go to politics and stuff. Yeah, okay, promise. We'll stay out of it. Raising money, yeah. Oh, this one is probably one of the most problematic things because last year. Yeah, in past, especially 2017 was really hyped when we did the ICO for the Mobile Go. Like more money was collected through ICOs than through normal venture capital. So VC stands for venture capital. And it seems I have to be really informed, like because like there is all the startups that we are working right now from Middle East to North America. What this did is actually inflated much more already unstable financial markets for the startups and for new products. And it's good short term for the guys who are trying to overvalue it, but it's of course it's bad for the for the industry itself, it's bad for the all other valuations, because like it doesn't matter like if you collect 55 million through ICO and some tokens, or you collect same money but with just an amazing amount of due diligence from the Andreessen Horowitz, or some really serious guys who are investing in blockchain stuff. Yeah, you're pushing whole tide up, and so one of the bubbles which are problematic we are touching here, and probably the biggest bubble is this one. Oh, making things transparent. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the problematic part about this statement. Statement itself is really good, really aspirational. Nothing really wrong about that. Who in right mind would not like to have things more transparent, like what's going on in my town, what's going on with funds for the school. You want to have more transparency, more accountability. That's totally fine. Problem is, again, you have to trust people who are working with this system, because at the end of the day, it's database, and it's not neither good or bad. It all depends on the people who are touching this system, and unless we are, like, I don't know how many years in future, totally transformed and move a lot of things really fast to digital age, yeah, we will have to just shift our trust a little bit more toward technology, but still have a lot of middlemen in the middle. Auditing, yeah, so this property comes naturally with distributed ledger. If you remember from the previous slide, it is append only, it's immutable, and it's perfect. So yeah, one of those startups is actually trying to solve exactly this problem for financial industry. Not one, but one that we are working with, and it totally makes sense. So it's not used as magical tool or tokens, or you don't need nothing. Just used as a database which cannot be changed. Microsoft also announced in a few months earlier in their Azure cloud offering exactly this guarantees that you can write to some certain type of data. It really doesn't matter is it blockchain or not. What they guarantee is it cannot be changed. That's all. That's all you know, and I totally support that. So we don't have. We can call it Bob. It doesn't have to be blockchain or DLT or whatever. Okay, so let's dig a little bit more into blockchain hype. Yeah, so this is it's distorted but still good. Yeah, so it's pretty much a typical conversation that maybe some of you had with some business people. As an engineer, I come from engineering background, and still feel like one. Yeah, this is really big issue that people will come and just say, okay, let's just use blockchain somewhere in our pitch deck, and it will just we will just sound more credible, we will be more trusted, and this and that. And engineers, just roll their eyes and say, okay, let's. Also, this slide should be before. So, yeah, as I said, Gartner started advising companies not to use blockchain anymore, but DLT. Sorry. Okay. And same Gartner came with this graph. So currently we are still somewhere in closing to peak of the hype. I'm really sorry. Okay. So what are those bad use cases? As I mentioned, let's make things transparent, which means we have some investors, we have some people who are expecting certain kinds of guarantees. So let's just claim we have some blockchain component inside. And this blockchain itself, it doesn't have to be public. We just put a blockchain stamp, and it's transparent, it's trusted, everything's fine. Of course, that's not true. Or just in any case, let's use DLT instead of normal DB to gain similar benefits. Also, like most of the cases, it's just really expensive, really slow database, and for like, I don't know, 99% of the time, it doesn't make sense. Or even worse, most of those projects, you ask founders, okay, cool, you use blockchain, I understand Web 3.0, which is, distributed governance and everything, but why do you need this token for? Like, and then they come up with all kinds of stories. Oh yeah, because like if you want to be part of this product, you have to use this token, which is really, really bad explanation and not true. And also, like, probably the worst is just, and there are a few examples of the one was started in Bulgaria that come up with billions of dollars collected, multi-level marketing. People just made a lot of money. Of course, like few people made money, and now luckily they are being sued and will be probably not see light of the day. Okay, let's focus on good parts. Like enough demonizing this nice tool. So it should be really simple. If you are coming up with some problem that you believe needs to be solved, and you believe that maybe blockchain can help in some properties. So this is totally generic image. Define problem really well. Like, what is the problem? Like, don't come to us or to anybody else who can advise you technically, and define the solution. Most of the people make the same mistake and say, okay, this is what we believe needs to exist in the world. And we already built it, and now we are searching for the problem. It's really problematic here, but most of the tech guys or founders who are leaning towards that have this approach, which is it's really hard from that standpoint to build anything which is usable to rest of the world. Model it as fast as possible, as cheap as possible, and try it out. Like, just check with reality. Don't ask your mom or aunt, like, oh, would you use it? And they would, of course, say, oh yeah, I love you. Like, whatever you do is best. So yeah, and then pick technology which is appropriate for the problem, again, and not solution. And then, particularly for the blockchain, when you're picking technology, try to ask those questions. So now we are talking like proper blockchain, like not like some private permissioned blockchains which are just glorified databases with some bad scalability, but proper, like open blockchain. Okay, so first of all, does this system for the problem that you are solving, does it need to track global state, like what's going on? Like, do you need like really such a high consensus guarantees? If it doesn't, like, no need. Like you can just use like Dusan Ketzman talked before me. Like, you just use Postgres or MySQL. It will work totally same. Is decentralization being used for censorship resistance? Yeah, system adoption is different beast, but censorship resistance is the key. Are you trying to disable some authorities or entities? It doesn't have to be like authorities. I'm not that against authorities. So are you able to guarantee that those actors cannot stop this system working? If you want to also guarantee that, then proper scalable public blockchain solution can be your answer. And also, like, minimum necessary level of decentralization means do not decentralize more than problem is actually asking for, because more you decentralize, more problems you put on yourself. Like anybody here with any engineering background will understand it. Also, this is probably most daring problem right now. Most of the ICOs that were done last year, and yeah, I did some back and forth, I don't know, questionnaire or interview with some Forbes guy. He was doing like 10 top ICOs and where they are now. So most of them just went pretty much nowhere, except for the basic attention token. They're doing really good. If you're familiar with Brave browser, it's using cryptocurrency to reward both us as the consumers of the websites and the publishers really fairly and transparently. Most others, including MobileGo, not doing so well. Why? Because you have to, in order to build it and they will come. Like in order for this to be successful, you actually have to make really appealing case for the whole industry, like gaming or whatever, to switch from the dirty fiat money to your wonderful solution. And it's not that easy to do. And usually more than half of the money or assets that are collected for the ICO is guaranteed to go for the marketing for this reason. Yeah, incentives are crucial. If you don't, you have to have really serious economists on board to make good incentives. Of course, you have to have a passionate team. And you have to have investors. Like I would advise not to go with ICOs, but to have proper investors who will ask a lot of questions and through those help you have a better quality decisions and better quality product. There are some obvious platforms that I could recommend from where I'm standing to watch for. One is Ethereum, and yeah, this is intentionally put in this order. Why Ethereum? Because it's by far oldest proper Web 3.0 enabling technology to make a distributed computer around the world. Of course, they have scalability issues. They are working hard on that. Ethereum 2.0 is being built. It will be released next year or so. So in my opinion, those bunch of guys are probably most serious distributed team of engineers working on distributed technology to bring Web 3.0 to life. And they're also adopting a lot of good things from other projects. Monero and Tari on top of Monero. Yeah, so Tari was founded by the one of the lead developers from Monero. And Monero itself is, if somebody of you don't know, is a really interesting privacy-first cryptocurrency, which has a lot of good properties, some of which are, so you can choose how much you want to reveal to the world, like how much money you're moving. You can even choose if you're, for example, if you are some non-government, non-profit organization to be auditable. So anybody can check that you actually receive those money and spend it, but yeah, in the right way. Hyperledger was put in the third place. Currently it's being evaluated. This is what I can say, and some things are being built. For example, we built this identity provider system. Game credits using Hyperledger Fabric. There is a lot of hype around that. The big difference between those first two and Hyperledger Fabric is Hyperledger is not public blockchain, so it's permissioned. It's much more scalable because of that, and it's not blockchain in really strict terms of. So it's something which sounds like blockchain, and usually it's used for the few companies that trust each other and say, okay, let's make some bookkeeping between ourselves, and it can be really efficient. And then you can also think that you can do there and you cannot do in, for example, Ethereum or Bitcoin. You can choose who can see which part of the deals and the transactions. EOS is alternative to Ethereum, really interesting project, something to look for. And I already mentioned basic authentication, basic attention token. Really awesome guys of the Brave browser. So I'm using Brave for quite some time, and I advise you to use it too, just to protect your data, your privacy. Yeah, so usually how we think, like revolutionary idea, like 95% of people who will cross our door will say, oh, I have a really revolutionary idea. And it will include the blockchain. Okay, cool, great. Tell us more about that. And then, like, out of those, like, actually 80% of those are actually somehow distributed. Okay, and then when you come to the team who is actually going to support that, then like half of the guys or more even don't have a good team structure. And then half of that, is able to attract any serious investment. And then out of all those, okay, this 10% was actually more like optimistic, but actually probably less than 10% get any adoption of those ideas of those projects, which is crucial. Like if you want to have a success, you actually have to. So one highlight from Uncle Albert is he said it like a long time ago that you cannot actually solve problems on the same level that they're created. You actually have to go one level above. Same goes for the problems in the real world. You cannot just think, like in terms of, oh, it's just same database. You actually have to do some learning and educate yourself. So that would be it. Thank you, guys.
Any questions? No one? Okay, thank you once more.